If you could only travel by private jet, would you? It's quicker and more efficient. What if it even costs less? Would you still turn it down? Of course you wouldn't, but what if I told you studying works the same way? Yet most students opt to ride in the car, stopping at every gas station along the road to the final destination. But not you, because after this video, you'll have the tools to fly your own jet. Before we worry about flying, we need to build the jet, and it all begins with building a proper foundation, and in your case, building the right mindset. Many people think studying is sitting there for a certain number of hours or reading through a set number of chapters, but that couldn't be further from the truth. You see, I like to refer to these people as pseudo-studiers. They go to the library, sit there all day, and mindlessly read through their endless to-do lists. But then they leave feeling accomplished at the hours, but really got nothing done. Now, if you feel like I just called you out, that's alright, because here's two ways you could change your mindset. First, you focus on purposeful learning. Study sessions need clear objectives, and you come prepared to mentally engage with the material. Second, you're ready to face challenges. Not every study session is going to be smooth, so you can practice resiliency in difficult situations. By implementing these two strategies, you can ensure you have a good foundation, but where would a jet with no wings end up? Well, let's look at Josh and John, for example. Both Josh and John watched the beginning of this video and got the basics of building their studying mindset. John, who was content with that knowledge, got motivated to go study. But Josh continued listening and learned about the next key component, prioritizing the important stuff. So now you're wondering what happened. Well, John brought the right mindset into his study session. He sits down, pulls out his laptop, and begins compiling what he needs to do. After 20 minutes, he's blankly staring at the screen, wondering how he's going to get 12 assignments done in the next 1.5 hours. So he just spends the rest of his time mindlessly scrolling and gets nothing done. Josh, on the other hand, prepared before he entered the room. He looked through his calendar and planned out 3 little wins he wanted to get done in this study session. Now, he figured this out by prioritizing the percentage of his grade this will impact and the due date of the assignment. He decided to prepare for his exam further by using an evidence-based study technique that allowed him to prepare more with less time. Now, every jet needs an engine that is reliable and proven, which is why you shouldn't just go with the first study technique recommended by your friend. Instead, here's some research citing the Pomodoro technique as the most effective study method. With its combination of structured work and refocus times, the National Institute of Health claims the method is much more effective at reducing stress, minimizing distractions, and increasing motivation. The technique functions by entering the room with a 25-minute timer set, and as soon as your materials are prepared, you start the timer and begin working. Once the timer rings, you set a 5-minute timer to allow your mind to rest before beginning another 25-minute session. The breaks allow your mind to be fresh so you can deeply study your materials. So even with only an hour, you'll be able to memorize the content more efficient. Now, even the most effective study methods will fail if the materials are inadequate, which is why you need to study smarter and not harder. Here's 3 pieces of advice to help you study smarter. 1. AI tools. You can use ChatGPT and other AI tools to create flashcards just from your notes you write down during class. This will make it much quicker to get your study materials and begin preparing for your exams. The second method is the space study method. Rather than waiting until the last minute, you can block out multiple 1-hour study sessions around 2 weeks before your exam. This method will make sure you're able to evenly study and retain the information before moving on to the next topic. Last is the Pareto principle, which states that 80% of the results come from only 20% of the effort. This principle stresses the importance of prioritization and efficiency when studying. You can't allow yourself to become too focused on one area you're struggling with. Instead, you must continue moving on to be efficient. While everything else I've said in this video is equally important, this last piece of advice is the most crucial to your success and efficiency when studying. Most students find classes to be a drag and sit there passively listening to their teacher. However, one thing you can do in class will reduce your time spent studying by 10-fold, and this is the art of active listening. It involves deeply focusing on the material being taught or read and then summarizing the notes in your own words. This will do 2 main things for you. 1, it will ensure you have adequate notes later on. 2, it will build the material into your long-term memory before you study it eventually. The tools I've given you throughout this video will allow you to fly if you so choose. So now you can achieve better grades by studying less, but that's just the tip of the iceberg of the content I have on my channel. Click here for a 25-second guide to academic success.